what do you do with spaces wherein you have the long-term belief, but there are short-term, or maybe not short-term, but there are immediate, how do I say, not an issue really, but challenges around higher competitive intensity, as would the case probably be seen in paints or diagnostics business, wherein there seems to be a foray of some fairly deep-pocketed competitors who are also, one of them is pricing the products at a much lower rate than what we've ever seen. So how do you then think about these business, Saurabh? I would love to understand, how do you think about paints currently or diagnostics currently?
So what this industry and this job pays us for, and which is one of the reasons I think many of us do it, is it pays us to take statements from management with a pinch of salt, and it pays us to do research, right? We love doing research, we love reading. So let's take the example of diagnostics, right? It's a $10 billion industry. Last I knew, blood tests and urine tests and executive health checkups were an essential product, right? I don't think people sort of say, this year we will cut back on our health checkup or our blood test because, America mein crude price bhag raha hai, globally crude price bhag raha hai, right? So it's an essential product. We also know that 85% of that industry is mom and pop setups, right? The path lab, the diagnostics industry, 85% is mom and pop setups. And we know that the national chains, the Metropolis and Dr. Lal, account for barely 15% of the industry, right? It's also relatively easy. It's also relatively easy to do channel checks. It's also relatively easy to do channel checks around this industry. And if you do that, you realize there is no increase in competitive intensity, right? And it's those who are listening to this, by all means, go to your local path lab and do it. You'll realize there is no increase in competitive intensity. There isn't in Bombay or Bangalore or Delhi, and there certainly isn't in small town India, right? So the bulk of the industry, 80-90% of the industry is still informal. It is unorganized, and it faces huge structural pressures as GST and formalization crush the mom and pop player, right? That's the big opportunity for whether it's a Metropolis or a Dr. Lal. In that context, one or two companies doing high profile advertising campaigns saying, I'm going to give you subsidized blood tests or urine tests. It's great publicity for them, but it's not a structural move. Now, we also have to use our common sense. If certain companies, incumbents, are saying that competitive intensity have gone up, why are they saying it? Because it hasn't. So competitive intensity hasn't gone up, but the future kisi ne dekha nahi hai. The incumbent is saying competitive intensity has gone up, right? And I can see it hasn't. So you join the dots and you realize said incumbent has a strong balance sheet. He doesn't need money. All the other players are raising money. And then I realized I would do the same. If I am a well-funded asset management company and I've got three rivals who are trying to raise private equity funding, obviously I'm not going to go in public and say the asset management industry is booming, everybody should load up on asset management stocks. I will make it very difficult for my rivals to raise money. I'll say, I am the market leader. I am telling you, Neeraj, asset management is an intensely competitive industry. It faces high structural headwinds. By saying that to you in a high profile setting, I will make it harder for my rivals to raise money, right? That is all there is to it. Now, if other people get worked up and they sell stocks, great for us. We buy hundreds of crores of that on that opportunity. So you take what people are saying with a pinch of salt. You don't get too lost in the present. You go back and do your homework. And the homework is easy to do. You just have to do some mehnat, put the effort for the channel checks in, and you realize that in diagnostics, there is no increase in competitive intensity.